In this session, we're going to work on removing the kingpin. In this case, I'm going to show how to remove a kingpin by removing the spindle from the yoke. I guess it would also be possible to remove the yoke assembly with the kingpin and in place along with the spindle. But in this case, if you were to need to replace a kingpin or do a kingpin repair, then you would only want to remove the kingpin and its bearings to remove the spindle. So we'll work on it in that process. So I'm hoping to be able to keep this section of linkage in place because of the needle rollers that are in there. I don't want them scattered out all over the place. But it may end up being necessary for me to remove this as well. So I like to start at the top with these three 5/16 BSF nuts. This one, there's one that's split pinned, other two are not, and they will be tight. Get these off. Sometimes it can be very difficult getting the split pin out. Castellated nut. Now the regular ones. Oh, these may actually have a lock tab. I see the lock tab is there. I'm a little surprised because the lock tabs that were to secure the backing plate were missing. So I assumed they would have done the same thing here, but not the case. This one. The last 5/16 BSF nut of the three is coming off. I should add, I did do a little check to see how much play we have in the kingpin, and there seems to be a little bit, but we'll see to what degree when we get things opened up, removed. Okay, here we have the lock tabs, and the stop piece for that linkage. And now we should be able to jeez. Well, that was an ordeal. Let's see here. Yeah, so now we have the upper race. It's pretty hard steel. So, it doesn't look like I banged it up too badly, considering what I had to go through. Then we have these lubrication bits up in here that fit inside like such. You want to keep track of all those. There are some balls in a ball race which I think are going to stay in there until I'm just going to put these pieces in upside down so they're less likely to get lost. Put that in the tray there. So yes, after all that, we got that out. Almost need serious celebration at this point. There's a locating screw for the kingpin back here. Kind of hard to see. So we're going to get that guy out. Okay. So yeah, so back here, down in the lower section, you'll see a cheese-headed screw. And the idea of this is to keep the kingpin in line as you get it in place. That's what that looks like. So we got that guy out, and then now we have the bottom. The bottom race that needs to come off. 1/4 inch. These are, gotta go the right way. These will have lock tab washer going across. Which I have bent back. So we're going to undo 2 1/4 inch nuts. So, and this is the bottom kingpin bearing or race. Okay, lock tab, nut. This can be in there tight too. A fair warning. Hopefully not as bad as the other. But let's see. So we're going to continue on with our kingpin removal video. Now that we have the battery situation solved. I did manage to pull down the bottom kingpin bearing race. So these shims are what helps to control the end float. And if you look down in there, there's a bronze pad in there. And just about see it. And that is basically the thrust bearing. So we'll put that aside. I've already showed you these pieces. Put them aside. And as you can see now, everything's loose and wobbly. So what needs to happen is the kingpin needs to be relieved from the taper that it's held onto on the spindle. And hopefully we can do that with bronze drift and a hammer. Hopefully I have the necessary items here. If not, we might need to continue this. In there I need to lift out. I think so. This guy, little collar piece. So yeah, now I have a clear view of the kingpin itself. And it's a pretty spindly area on the top. We'll see if it's going to go easily. Okay. I'm going to use a magnet and get out all the ball bearings that are in there. Chunk of something in there. And these just parts of the. I'd like to get that out. Yeah. Some steel particles for some reason. Or maybe they seem to be magnetic. Huh. We'll find out what they are. All right. I'm thinking at this point maybe I'll go ahead and take this off. Gonna need a good clean shot. No point having this in the way anymore. So maybe in the long run it's better to take this pivot piece off. And you can see the needle rollers in there. Of course they're gonna be glad to be free after all these years. So hanging out in there. Place that on right there. And I'll also get a better view of what these particles are. Oh, I guess it's the bearing race has broken up. I hate having that stuff in the way. Oh, that's a bronze piece too. But I don't know what else I can do. So I'm going to use crummy old socket top of there to drive that kingpin out. Should do. Let's see. There she goes. There she blows. Okay, this is what the kingpin looks like. Let me get a paper towel, wipe it off, show you in better detail. Oh, sorry behind me. So those were the, well, that looks surprisingly nice as far as no wear markings. That's promising. This is the tapered portion where it is held in place, and this is the channel that's for that screw in the back. So the socket I had was fitting down in like that. If I was at the shop, I'd make a nice steel tool to extract that. And the it's all about the fit in between there, which feels really good, but then there's a lot of dirt and grime in there. But we'll certainly measure things out and see how it is. So now that we have that off, and this comes wiggling right out. So these are the particles, the bronze particles I was dealing with from the ball cage. For some reason, they, there's the bottom, what that looks like. That came loose and broke apart. We'll put this aside And you can see what's going on here. This is the yoke assembly. The next session we will take the yoke apart, the yoke out, show you what goes on with that, and then after that we'll work on taking apart the housings where the springs and the shock and all that is. So we're going to stop here and get things ready for the next session.